want your advice. Soon, your voice will be heard. You like success because we do. You might be wondering, Brooke, is this part of your plan to eventually indoctrinate us into your cult? And today, the answer is no. These are actually the subject lines to the college emails that I have been receiving. And a lot of the times they advertise themselves as being the best option. And if you don't go there, your voice will never be heard. Or there will be people talking about you behind your back saying how you hate success or something. So I'm here to tell you that what college you choose doesn't really determine your future. Your future is determined by small events and occasionally large events that are all predetermined by Jesus. Jesus is with us in our past experiences, present experiences, and experiences I have had in my life. So the theme verse that kind of sums this up is from Isaiah 30:21, which says, "Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, 'This is the way, walk in it.'" So this all sounds very inspiring, but there is more to the story than just this verse. Robert Herber, who wrote the commentary on Isaiah, said at this time when Isaiah was being written, Israel was kind of falling apart. So Isaiah is written like the books of the Bible. The first 39 chapters are like the Old Testament, so they're kind of rebuking people, and the next 27 chapters are like the New Testament, and they're encouraging people. So Isaiah 30 was written in the midst of this rebuke, and the first 15 verses are basically Jesus saying, you've messed up, like you're doing a really bad job. And then the last 5 verses are where this encouragement comes in, and he's basically telling them that even though you've messed up, I'm still going to be with you. So the verse has 2 parts, which are, you messed up, but I'm not going anywhere, which actually happens a lot in Scripture. Another example of this is in Numbers 20, verses 8 through 11, which I'm just going to sum up because it's quite a bit. So this is where Moses is leading out the people out of the promised land, and Jesus is like, hey, you want water? How about you talk to that rock? And Moses is like, I'm going to hit the rock. And then they do get the water, and even though they do have some repercussions because Moses did not listen to God, they do eventually get to the promised land, and Moses goes to heaven. So that is an example of God staying with people. And other examples are in Matthew 28, verse 20, where he says, "And surely I am with you always to the end of the age," and Romans 8:28, where Jesus says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." So God is with us when we mess up, he's with us forever, and he has plans for our life. Even though this all sounds really great and fun, following God's plan isn't always easy. I actually found Isaiah 30:21 in a devotion book. The writer of the devotion book, Annie F. Downs, has had many life experiences, including going to Scotland. Even though she really did enjoy this when she was there, she regrets waiting for such a long time. For 11 years she was afraid to go because she thought staying in the United States meant getting married and having kids, which did not happen. But she is still glad she stayed because God gave her amazing opportunities, even though she felt like she wasn't following his plan. Even though there are times when we feel like we're not following God's plan or making the right choices, he's still with us. So you might be wondering, if bad things still do happen to us and things still don't feel right sometimes, why does it matter that God is with us? Well, I think it matters now for us because a lot of the times right now we're concerned with making the right decisions, and if we'll choose the wrong decisions, we'll have like lifetime regret or something, which is something I think sometimes. Well, this isn't true, actually. Making difficult decisions may be difficult, obviously, but God is there to help us. And a great example of this is my mom. So my mom started college in a state school in Michigan, and she was going to be a physical therapist. After her sophomore year, she decided that she wanted to be a DCE, and she went to Concordia, Chicago. Even though this was a great decision eventually, there were still many hardships, like she had to do an extra year of school. And she had a literal divorcee as a roommate who was obsessed with squirrels, which she realized was not a joke in this picture. And also, my dad. Even though a lot of this was very difficult, she now loves her job, she loves my dad, and also I exist. So things happen for a reason. You might be wondering how this applies to you if you're not a Christian. I think it's really difficult, even if you're not a Christian, to say that things don't happen for a reason. Life takes us to lots of different places, and I think we just got to take them in stride. Like, for example, on your handout there are a lot, you might go like completely different directions in life, and you might have job changes that you don't expect, but ultimately they're not bad. Or you might have something like really terrible happen to you, but it makes you able to better sympathize with someone else who has had terrible things happen to them. So Jesus is there for us for the hard times in life. Even though we feel like we might not deserve this, we might not even believe in Jesus, he works for us to give us meaningful experiences. Out of all the decisions you probably have coming up soon, I think the most important decision to make is the decision to trust that God has a plan for your life.
Thank you very much. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you very much, Brooke.